here's the one question, and I know what the notion is among the uninformed, but I'm asking you because I consider you to be more in the group of the informed since
we'll
you're
find
there
out
practice.
about that, Larry. We'll find out.
But what do you think's more true? Do you think that Brock Purdy is made by the Niner weapons, or do you think Brock Purdy makes the Niner weapons?
Oh, feels so
because
very
it's
binary.
clearly argued that he is like a product of Shanahan and the weapons that he has at his disposal. But the more you watch him play with accuracy and on time, the more you watch him, as Invader 49er says, Purdy's kind of processing only comes around once every 10 years. I completely agree with Invader 49er.
That's his superpower.
He is a processing monster. He processes what he sees at the line of scrimmage, pre-snap, post-snap very fast.
He's the offensive coordinator.
He's accurate, and he plays on time, and
underrated scrambling ability.
Yeah, so and he can move. So I mean,
great deep ball.
Does he? I know the notion of the nation. If you ask more people, they would say, "Oh yeah, well Purdy, Purdy is a product of having Debo and Ayuk and Kittle and CMC and anybody." I mean, I've heard a lot of Niner content creators say, "How many guys are there out there that you could plug in for Purdy and they would give you exactly what Purdy gives you?" And I just think that number. He makes it look so easy that I think he's fooled a lot of people into thinking that it is easy.
Right.
And that if you just subbed him out and subbed in Dak Prescott or any number of guys, that it would just
saying
be exactly
it was Sam Darnold last year, Larry. As if Sam, what are we talking about? Let me be very clear about this. This is a point that I've made a million times before, and I'll make it a million times since. If it was so fucking easy, then how come Brian Hoyer and CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins, who did have some success but didn't win any flipping football games and ultimately looked in over his head, why didn't any of the other even Jimmy Garoppolo to an extent?
Why were all these guys
Lance,
outside of Jimmy? Why were those other guys 9-29?
Yeah. Why did everyone else suck, but this guy's good? Because maybe I'm holding it against Brian Hoyer here because that team did suck. But there were some damn good players. 2018, when Jimmy gets injured, that was the team that was supposed to make the jump. 2020, there were some good football teams around backup quarterbacks. There was a damn good football team around Trey Lance. And maybe Trey didn't get the full shake that he deserved. And ultimately injury took him out and the Niners moved on. But how come it looks so damn hard for everybody else? And as you noted, it looks so damn easy for Brock Purdy. Here's ultimately where I stand on it. I think that Brock Purdy is a quality starter on any team in the NFL. I don't know if I want to say top half or whatever, but there's not a team in the NFL that Brock Purdy wouldn't start for if you just did a Madden fantasy draft today. He's a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't even know how anyone could argue against that.
Well, you're not saying that he would start over Mahomes or anything.
No.
You just mean that.
And I think that there's probably 4 or 5 guys that he would unquestionably not start over. But if you have 32 starting jobs, Brock Purdy's got to be off the board there at 10, 11, 12. I think if anyone knows football. And maybe you're adding in the kids and the Anthony Richardsons and the projectability and all that. But there's not a lot of guys in this league. Half of the quarterbacks in this league are not starting caliber quarterbacks. I mean, Derek Carr has been paid a lot of money to be really shitty for a long time. And I've watched Derek Carr up close since he was with the Raiders. I watched a lot of practices with Derek Carr, and I watched way too many of those games back in the day. Let me tell you, I know good quarterbacking. I know bad quarterbacking. Brock Purdy's a damn good quarterback. Now, does he get a little bit extra, or maybe even a lot extra, from being Kyle Shanahan's quarterback and from having the weapons around him? Absolutely. But I'm going to make a hockey analogy. Why are teams constantly apologizing or feel the need to apologize for having a good goalie? He's part of their team. Joe Montana never had to apologize because he had Jerry Rice. Michael Jordan didn't have to apologize because Scottie Pippen was on his team or Dennis Rodman. I don't know what. I guess LeBron James did have to apologize because he had good players around him. But like Steph Curry had to apologize. That's basketball. There's a toxicity there we won't get into. Regardless, I don't understand. Tom Brady had Randy Moss and Rob Gronkowski and
Deion Branch won an MVP in the Super Bowl. So did Julian Edelman.
Right. Like they great players will have great players around them if you have a great team. Now, I guess everyone wants Brock Purdy to be a martyr, where he is just perceived to be this great player who never does anything of interest or note and is just this hypothetical man like Justin Herbert, where, well, if this happened and that happened, then he would be good because the talent just oozes off of the highlight film. But guess what? The highlight film doesn't mean squat. I did high school football recruiting in South Florida for a long time. Let me tell you, you can learn something from a highlight film. There's no question about that. What you actually learn is watching a whole damn game because it's highlights and only highlights. And I need to see your lowlights too. I need to see where the floor is because not everybody can do the highlight stuff. But if you don't have the kind of motor, I mean, I bet you could put together a great Randy Gregory or Chase Young highlight film from last year. I don't think that was the definition of their season, though. I'm sure you can find some cool plays where you go, this guy kicks ass. Watch a game with them. I'll tell you pretty unequivocally, they do not kick ass. They really burn the 49ers. And that is the difference between a quarterback who you can win the Super Bowl with and a quarterback like, we'll see. Maybe Herbert gets there. He's still young. He's got all the talent in the world. But a lot of guys who never get over that hump, a lot of guys who are, in theory, great players because they have all this talent, but are never actually great players. A Trevor Lawrence comes to mind. And I'll tell you this, Brock Purdy's floor on a week-in, week-out basis is damn high. And his ceiling is damn high. And as much as I just said, maybe the 49ers need to think about it a little bit when they're talking about 50, 55, $60 million. I'm just saying have a conversation. I'm not saying, hell no, get the hell out of here. He's never worth it. Great players have great players around them. And by the way, great players, as you noted, make great players look great. And there's a simpatico relationship. Is Brandon Ayuk getting paid what he's about to get paid by the 49ers or some other team if Trey Lance is his quarterback? Hell no. Hell no. But because him and Brock Purdy have a great relationship on the field and understand each other implicitly on the field, Brandon Ayuk's about to get paid big-time money because he put up big-time stats last year. And Brock Purdy's going to get paid big-time money because he has a big-time receiver on the outside as well as a big-time running back, as well as big-time. But, if we want to go on Brock and say, oh, it's the system, it's the system, it's the system, look at the other guys in the system. And yeah, oh, by the way, all I hear from 49ers fans, and I think they're right about this, is how shitty his offensive line is. So it's got to also be a Colton McKivitz part of the system and the Jake Brendel part of the system. And I get it. They have a great team, but not everyone on that team is great. And I would like to note that Brock Purdy seemed to take this team to another level when he went in over a guy, number 10, who took this team to a Super Bowl once, probably against his will, but he did it and put him to a couple NFC championship games. And when Brock Purdy, guy that we never heard about, guy that we had no idea, comes in, it just looked different. It felt different. And this team did go to a new level, even though they haven't gotten that 6th Lombardi trophy.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to me that people don't show Purdy more respect because it was instantaneous. He walked in week 13 as a rookie, and he was instantaneously better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Immediately.
That wasn't a high bar for me, but like Larry, I wrote the column after that week 13 game, and I'm like, there is not just a little bit here. There's a whole lot here. If it's so obvious that my monkey brain can see it, it's obvious. Trust me.
Instantaneously was better than Garoppolo. Ran the table as a rookie, then won 2 playoff games and was, put up some historic numbers in that Seattle game.
Spectacular fashion.
Yeah. And then, has the elbow ripped out, doesn't have an off season, comes back. Everybody claimed, he's not going to be back. He'll be on the PUP. Will be out for the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Came back right away, led them to the Super Bowl, played pretty well in the Super Bowl. I don't know if he played great, but he played pretty well.
I don't
definitely
think
didn't lose the game.
Yeah.
He definitely didn't.